like the nicotine we talked about before.
Yeah.
It's dose dependent. Would you do 10, 15, 20, 30 milligrams of nicotine a day? Probably not, right?
Yeah, right.
Will you use a pouch 3 milligram before a show? Maybe.
I use them, yeah. I've been pretty open about the fact that I dabble with like very low dose nicotine. One, I get these pouches from a company called, well, there's two. There's Knickknacks. I have no affiliation with either. Knickknack Naturals and Athletic Nicotine. And Athletic makes like a pouch. It's 1.5 milligrams. And I find it to be a great, I'm not saying that nicotine's healthy at all. I'm not saying you should start using it if you don't already. The FDA recently approved pouches as a good, smoking cessation tool. But as a cognitive booster, I find them to be really useful.
Yeah, you showed me this exactly a year ago, and I bought a couple of these, also not affiliated. So I use it so sparingly. Even a year later, I still have like probably 3 full boxes, and there's 15 in one. I use it, for example, sometimes if I know there's a long surgery where I have to be like sharp 3 to 5 plus hours. I love to have this because it gives you this little bit of, it's just precise.
Yeah.
It feels like a little bit more precise.
Totally.
It's just 3 milligrams I have. I didn't know that there's 1.5 milligram existence. But I think nicotine, again, is a we produce it ourselves in the body, right? It's a natural substance to the body.
I didn't know that we produced it, but
yeah, there's nicotine receptors and everything. Yeah.
Well, it's naturally also found in nightshade plants. So
yes, exactly.
Tobacco is a nightshade plant, but so is eggplant or aubergine, I think they call it overseas.
Yeah, eggplant, aubergine. It's even high. I think highest nicotine is probably eggplant, bell peppers, potatoes. Just white potatoes is a nightshade. Some people have problems with nightshades. Maybe it's because of the nicotine. I mean, nicotine has, let's say, historically been used, let's say, in Peru or for smoking tobacco.
Yeah.
But pure tobacco has nothing to do with cigarettes, right? The problem with the cigarettes is all the additives they put in. Like pure tobacco, the way I learned it in medicine, is antiparasitic, antiviral, and has strong healing properties. Again, I think it's dose dependent. I wouldn't recommend smoking tobacco all day long unless I'm like a shaman, maybe.
Yeah.
Then it might be good to activate something. But this is, again,
that'd be a
nuanced.
fun side hustle.
I think there's not the nicotine necessarily that is problematic. Maybe it's also been shown in study that it's not addictive, really. I think it's more the other things in cigarettes. I think they are able to at least put 200 to 300 different chemicals into normal cigarettes. So I wouldn't smoke cigarettes at all.
Definitely not. No
Definitely
way.
not.
Increases your risk for cardiovascular disease, lung cancer, Alzheimer's disease.
Also contraindicative for any sort of oral surgery because it constricts vessels, and less bleeding, less healing. Not good. Also connected to periodontitis. So smoking definitely. Don't do this.
Well, nicotine in and of itself is vasoconstrictive. So from
It
a
is.
cardiovascular standpoint, it's not good. I don't think that nicotine is good for you, but I do think it has there are cognitive benefits, if you even want to call them that. There's a cognitive upside to low dose nicotine.
Yeah, I think.
Similarly with any substance, the dose makes the poison,
Exactly.
and there are diminishing returns even with caffeine.
True.
And caffeine has a very long half-life. It can mess up your sleep. But I know that if you have a long road trip or you're a shift worker, nicotine can potentially be useful as a stimulant. It's got a much shorter half-life than caffeine. And yeah, if it helps you focus, be better at what it is that you're, at your job, then maybe it's worth looking into responsibly.
Exactly. That's all about. Like, just be responsible with it and use it strategically, maybe. And if you have are an addictive person, some people are just more addicted to stuff, be wary about it. That if you use like 3, 4, 5 pouches a day, it's probably not the smartest idea.
No, tread lightly. I mean, there are so many stories of, this is definitely a bit of a tangent, but yeah, so many stories of people online who, going back to the health influencer thing, like the health guru, have heard that nicotine is like this great thing. It's healthy. I would never call it healthy, that it lowers risk of Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson. None of that is really firmly established. It's all just like very tenuous observational research at this point. But people will hear on social media that nicotine is like good for you, and then they what started as just trying it out becomes a full-blown addiction, and that's not good.
And then they think more is better, right?
And then they think more is better, yeah.
That's again, I think this is the difficulty with social media and everyone becoming a health influencer and a health guru. Or I can see this as I think it's overall it's great that there is this health movement out there. It's great because we're we become more empowered, we think more, and patients are looking for experts. But also at the same time, there's many without foundational experience with patients that then become coaches and stuff. Could be problematic. I've seen it all. And I'm not saying that being a coach is bad or anything. It's just a little bit risky right now. Because you cannot just skim through or just use ChatGPT or skim through social media and then write a book about it. I mean, it's possible, but it doesn't give you any experience.
Possible, but not advisable.
Exactly. You know that, what's the saying? Knowledge is power, I think, but execution beats knowledge all the time. So it comes from the experience. I've read a ton of things, but if I would have not tried it out or tested time-wise with like 15 years of experience with working with thousands of people and only with myself, I would have zero experience. It's like only me, like n equals 1 versus n equals 1,000 gives you a little bit more nuance. And okay, for this person, might be a good idea to use this right now strategically. Same with everything.
Yeah.
You need
I've taken like a gentle step back from social media. I still use it, but I find it so much more responsible to talk about these kinds of topics on the podcast as opposed to on my Instagram stories, for example, where it's difficult, if not impossible, to convey nuance. People just like catch a story here and there. They might see an out of context soundbite, and you forget that there are people on the other side of the screen, that don't have the kind of education that you have, the experience that you have, and could potentially interpret what you're saying in a way that's harmful.
Exactly, especially also in the stuff I'm doing. Obviously, also social media is oftentimes the way it's designed it's clickbait, is going viral. So sometimes completely out of context snippets will be one 90-second reel, and then what you need to do, like as the audience, is find the source. Maybe listen to the complete interview instead of just commenting on this one reel that is completely out of context just for social medias. But this also happens with my professional followers. Yeah, like I have changing dentistry or trailblazing different things or just change in itself is always hard to swallow for a lot of people. So I had a lot of adversity at the beginning, and still. But I think now, for example, when I wrote my book, or when it came out 2019, shitstorm nationally was insane. Literally every professor in university would write something against it, which was okay. But now it's 7 years later, and because of our work, practically 50% of this stuff is medical guideline. So it completely flipped. So now I think, even though biological dentistry has not yet a standard, I'm working on it, the future is going to be this way, because research is finally catching up. Because of people that go the new mile and look for new alternatives, new science. And that's not the research. And obviously, I'm going to continue to do this. I'm just interested in new things. I would never say what I do is correct and the best thing. I would always look for more and see what can we iterate, how can we make it even better. Because the ideal scenario is you would never need a dentist in the first place, because we start young. We start preparing the moms before pregnancy, have the right nutrition, be a super mom during pregnancy, because that baby will use a ton of your nutrients. Oftentimes, moms report, I lost this tooth through a root canal during my pregnancy. Why? Because they probably went into pregnancy depleted, and then the priority during pregnancy is obviously not the mom, it's obviously the baby. So mom gets more depleted. So if you do this up front and then teach breastfeeding and all these different things, you probably don't even need braces later on, and definitely no tooth decay. It's literally just lifestyle changes, but it's education. We just need to educate. And there's nothing you learn as a dentist in university, nothing from it. That's how we literally need to change. But this will take a while. Right now we have to repair what has been repaired more in a more healthy biomaterial way, so that it doesn't cause any disturbance in your body. Let's say the typical 40 to 65-year-old guest has a lot of previous dental repair. How can we do this in a more neutral way? But then, obviously, my kids in this generation should never see a dentist for repair. That's the goal, but it takes a while.
Hey, if you liked that video, you need to check out this one here, and I'll see you there.